Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
All right, shout out to the Yonis, Bronies, and Homies. This is Billy Procida, and you're listening to the Man Whore Podcast.
I loved that. That was so great.
Yeah, I had thought of you in mind. I was like, well, I know I want Yonis in there, and then I got to find everything that kind of rhymes with Yoni.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do, that's what it's going to be this week.
It's a good word. It's a good word. I was actually thinking about being in a band called Yoni Mitchell. That's not my own thing, but like somebody said that and I was like, I have to do that. Yoni Mitchell. It's cool.
Somebody needs to have a band named Yoni Mitchell.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, y'all are hearing another voice. That's not normal. That's a little strange, right? Normally these intros are just a thing I skip because Billy's talking by himself. And who wants to hear that? Apparently not a lot of people. A lot of people are just like, oh, this intro is really long. You are hearing the voice of Vanessa Cuccia, the founder and owner of Shock Rubs.
Hello.
And we just finished recording a bonus episode for Patreon coming out next week. Going to talk about her in a little bit and about this week's guest, Angela Spera from the This Is Why You're Single podcast. But first... show dates, people. Show dates. All right. Connecticut, June 9th. I'm going to be at Comics at Mohegan Sun on the 4:30 p.m. show because comedy belongs in the afternoon. Then Rockland County, North New Jersey, June 16th. I'm going to be at Levity Live on the Late Late Show. June 17th, I'm going to be at Lucky Jack's doing Comedy Fight Club, little roast battle action here in New York City. Sloatsburg, New York. I'm up there at Characters Bar and Grill on June 18th, 8 p.m. For more information on those show dates and more, head on over to manwhorepod.com/comedy. If I choose to update that page, it has been a while. You can always just shoot me an email and ask questions. Also today, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, the day of this release, we have another Fan Whore Facebook Live Hangout. That is my monthly little office hours where we hang out, get together. I ask you questions. You ask me questions. I tell you about the month. I tell you about exciting things in my life that haven't made it onto the pod. All right. Next thing to just mention, Man Whore Con announcement. You don't know about Man Whore Con. She's like, what is this? Just a bunch of like male sex workers getting together, doing a thing? Not exactly. We got another, August 3rd through August 5th. We got Man Whore Con. Year 2 is a weekend for the fan whores here in New York City. And I'm excited to announce that we have another event that is being added to the itinerary. We are doing a sex ed workshop. Yeah, we're going to be going to a wonderful sex toy store, to be named because I can't announce that out loud. Have random passersby showing up for free.
True.
Also, you're going to want to get your weekend pass soon because tickets are going up June 3rd. You can still enjoy that early bird discount price of $75. Head on over to manwhorepod.com/tickets to pick that up. And also, don't forget, June 1st is the deadline to win a free trip to New York City. We've got over $500 to give away to one lucky listener who shows me a video of why they are my biggest fan whore. All right, again, email that to manwhorepod@gmail.com by June 1st. God, that was a lot to read.
You did good.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. Vanessa Cuccia, before we move on, can you tell us just a little bit about yourself and about Shock Rubs?
Sure. I am the creator and founder of Shock Rubs, which is the original crystal sex toy company. So I basically make sex toys that get you in touch with sexuality, but also spirituality.
Pussy crystals.
Pussy crystals.
If we need to even shorten it.
Yeah. I was waiting for that. I was like, what? You explain. Yeah, they're pussy crystals, basically.
Well, we just had a fantastic conversation talking about those. I'm not saying I'm converted. I'm just saying I held one and I felt things. Okay. And that episode is going to be available exclusively to my $5 and up members on Patreon next week. So you can head on over to patreon.com/manwhorepodcast to get access to that bonus episode and dozens of others. But I wanted to read an advice email with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, you're going through a breakup yourself right now, right?
Yes.
Or you just had one?
Yes. And going through it. Yeah.
Mazel, congratulations.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
Well, we got an email coming in about breakups. So I'm going to read that and I want to hear your thoughts.
Okay.
So I get, hey, Billy, my name is Jules. I'm a big fan and you have been a source of advice and entertainment for a year or so now. So thank you. Aw. I never edit out that
That's so
portion.
sweet.
I need those
Yes.
affirmative words. But she says, I'm hoping you may be able to give me some advice as a fellow slut and romance enthusiast. I've just gone through a breakup. A wonderful, but essentially unmatched relationship of 6 months. And I was wondering how you deal with opening up dating and hooking up casually after a breakup like this. I tend to get a bit of a kid in a candy shop response to breakups, and I am considering that probably isn't wise. Appreciate all you do, Billy. Also, let me know if I can share my gratitude with a titty pic. I'm practicing. Jules, I don't know how you need. How do you need to practice?
You need to practice your angles and shit. You need to.
I promise you, we don't care that much about the angle.
You still want to practice. I mean, maybe
get them
it's
in
just,
frame, but that's about it. I think you nail it.
there's certain angles that you want. I mean, especially if they're flopping over to one side. There's ways to do it that really. I mean,
Do you have?
it's an art form.
Do you have a
preferred boob?
angle? Yeah. not. I don't. Do you have a titty that you prefer?
I do. I like
versus
my
right?
left. But
Why?
angle. I just do.
Well, Jules, how can we help out Jules here?
Oh my God. I mean, I am so identifying with her predicament because it's, first of all, I'm going to recommend a book called The Ethical Slut.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they know it quite well.
Yeah.
We've had the authors on this show.
Amazing. Yeah. I think that I just was looking at that and starting to get warmed up to that book because it's definitely, what's difficult for me in this situation is wanting to feel like that kid in the candy store and just be like, I'm just going to enjoy people and have fun. And yet like a lot of people fucking suck and are not fun.
Right. Well, you also mentioned in your bonus episode that you tend to need a little bit more of even if it's not a serious relationship, it sounds like you need more of some kind of a emotional connection to be sexually attracted to someone.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that I need to like have necessarily a relationship for a person for a long time. It's energy. Energy is a fucking thing. It's true. And that's what I feel. So I can feel a person's vibe and I can know if I'm going to vibe with them or not pretty early on.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah. So it's like, you just know that. So don't force things because, you might want to be a kid in a candy store, but also have this like self-awareness about you and know that your energy is something that you don't want to necessarily just give to anybody that's not going to appreciate it or get it. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think that especially if you're like, okay, I've been in this relationship. It seems like it was monogamous. I'm now free to go off and date and fuck whoever. To think about, why am I fucking this person this night? It's like, am I doing it just because someone expressed interest in me and I'm just trying to fuck people? Am I actually attracted to them? Am I just horny and this is the person who's available, which is a valid reason. If you're just like, I'm horny, I just want to get fucked by someone vaguely attractive. This guy hasn't worn a MAGA hat out, so, he can come in. Think about the why. I've talked about this a lot on the show, but again, it's like when I meet someone and I get invited up to their place and she's like, oh, I really want to fuck you. And I think one of the reasons why I don't typically fuck on first encounters is because I want to make sure, am I fucking this person because I want to fuck this person or am I fucking them because like they're consenting and I'm erect?
Right.
Right. And I would say, think about, why am I going to fuck this person? And do I want to fuck this person? Or am I just doing it because I'm enjoying the freedom?
Yeah. Also, I've felt a lot like I would have been a lot more slutty if I felt like men generally knew how to please me. It's like I need about a good like month of like schooling somebody of like, this is how to touch me, this is how to get me off. So it's like, even if it's like one of those nights where you're feeling horny, like
You don't even want to like put in the effort
Don't
because you're
have-
like, I'm just gonna be disappointed.
yeah. And also realizing that if people do have feelings, and having good communication at that stage is important too.
Well, if it gives you any sense of hope, I had a friend who was complaining about like how, guys just were inadequate. She couldn't find a guy with high sexual IQ. We did an episode of this podcast called The Oral Sex Auditions, because my response to her when she was like, I just don't know what to do. Dudes brag about eating pussy and then they're not good at it, or they don't do it at all. And then I'm just like, let's hold audition.
Yes.
And I arranged 5 men to come over to her apartment, like at audition times. And like after I would like do a pregame interview with them, then they would have 12 minutes in there with her to make a first impression using tongues and fingers only. Penis stays in the pants. Then they come out, they do a post game, and she tells me how it really went. And we did that with 5 guys.
That's amazing.
And we had a decent chunk of dudes who were like good enough that she was down for another, like
Ooh.
made a strong enough first impression that she'd be like, I would go on a date with this person. Or I want to fuck this person
This is a
on
brilliant
another time.
concept. I think that's
I'm willing to arrange this for whoever. Yes.
I think you'd have a lot of people signing up for that, because that's amazing. It's like, you should do that.
So there is hope. There are dudes out there who can at least intuitively get close on the first try.
Yeah.
But that's the other reason why I don't like fucking the first time. Because I'm just like, look, yes, we could fuck tonight and I can barrel in and do my best, but give me a night to like learn your body.
Yeah.
Figure out what you like and don't like. Some tips. Let me do some of my research. Then next time we hook up, we can fuck and it'll be way better because I'll kind of already have an idea of what you're into.
Yeah.
And can make adjustments from there.
That's definitely how it should go. I feel like, we need to get the word out. People need to have a better sexual IQ for each other.
Yeah.
We just want to feel good. And then we're like all walking around disappointed in like the dating world, and just do some reading.
Do some reading or and also not for nothing. Listening, but also if y'all could use some actual words, it'd be helpful. I a couple weeks ago I got a very specific instruction of up and to the left.
Yeah.
Immensely helpful for me.
Right.
It didn't make it weird, and I appreciate that she was able to communicate some instructions so I could be in the right space.
There's a way to ask and there's a way to tell too. Instead of saying, does that feel good, or do you like that?
Yeah.
Which is so general and nobody wants to be like, no, not really.
Mm-hmm.
You say, is the pressure good? Do you want me to move the direction to the left? Asking those specific questions are helpful too.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also, if you're not embarrassed about giving the instruction, like a decent human being down there will probably not feel embarrassed about receiving the instruction. The woman who gave me the up and to the left thing was so fucking weird about me giving her, like when she was going down on me, I tried to give a little like, oh, hey, I would love it if you would do this.
Yeah.
Was like so fucking insulted by it. And I'm just like, don't take this personally. Like we're all a little different. I just like some hand action involved. So if we had to summarize our
right.
tips for Jules here, other than your angle for the titty peck is probably going to be fine, but you're welcome to practice.
Yes.
How would you summarize your tip for her?
Let me revisit how you deal with opening up, dating, and hooking up casually after a breakup like this. Just do what makes you feel safe and comfortable. Enjoy. Don't deny that energy is a thing. Communicate.
Maybe get a shock rub.
Maybe get a shock rub and see what happens with that. Open you up to all sorts of new fun energies.
All right. And I will add, I would say be purposeful in your sluttiness and be doing it because these are slutty encounters you want to do, not just because they're the things that arise. And like, if you're going into an encounter with a meh attitude, like maybe just don't do that one. Like, cause you're probably going to feel meh afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Thank you for that help. I appreciate it. It's the last episode of the month, which means it's that time to talk about hashtag pay for your porn. Every month this year, I put a little bit of money out in, I buy a membership for a different porn website for a month just to make, show that we got to put some money out into that ecosphere if we want to keep, again, high quality porn made. Do you pay for your porn, or have you paid for porn?
I have not paid for porn, I don't think, because I got a free membership to a few sites.
Well, that
just from
always
doing
helps.
what I do. So
From like performers being like, here's a free login to like my site or whatever.
yeah, and
Yeah.
things like
Having
that.
sex with a porn performer like really definitely helped in that regard. She was like, here's a membership. I was like, oh, great, cool, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna actually ask, I have not picked one for this month because I'm still enjoying all my free minutes over at hotmovies.com. A sponsor that gave me a bunch of free porn minutes to view. So I haven't really been like going outside of that. I've been watching all professionally paid for porn. And I was wondering if you would be down to recommend to me, pick either a site or performer. So that can be a website like a Crash Pad series where it's various things, or it can be like one star's site where you're like, oh, this star's just all he or she does is great. Would you care to pick the one that I spend my money on for the month of May?
Ooh, this is so exciting. Well, yes, but I'm wondering, okay, so Make Love Not Porn?
Of course I do.
Yeah.
Pro sex, pro porn, pro knowing the difference. I actually saw their curator was at a performance I was just at. I went to go see Madison Young do a one woman show.
I was going to actually, I'm
so
going
good.
to the next one because she's going to have she's going to do like maybe a raffle for something with my products and stuff. So
yeah,
I can't
it
wait
was
to see it.
really good. I'm actually recording with her on Tuesday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're doing an episode.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, is this where you would like my May money to go towards?
Yes, I think this is a good.
Then you all know now, makelovenotporn.tv. If you remember my episode with Cindy Gallup from a couple years ago, that is where my hashtag pay for your porn money is going to go this month. I encourage you all to go check it out yourselves. Throw some money their way. I don't know if it's membership. I think you pay per videos, but I'm going to go buy, I think they're all like, $5 to $10. I'm going to go buy a few videos that I like on there.
Nice.
And that's going to be fun. Maybe I'll try to find something with shock rubs in there. Mm-hmm. Very fun. Very fun. Vanessa, thank you so much for helping me out with this intro.
Thank you.
Where can people find you? Where can they buy your book? Where can they buy some pussy crystals? You have like these yoni eggs, right? Is that what they're called?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which are with these for like strength aside from the healing, but also like can practically help with like strengthening.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It's good for incontinence, menopause, after childbirth. All that good stuff.
Are these good for butt stuff?
No.
No.
It's
It's good to know. Why?
Yeah.
Because it will get lost up in there? Is that why?
It won't get, yes. Some people with vaginas get worried that I'll get lost up the vagina, but that it won't ever.
But up the butt.
But yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. You don't want to be up there just fishing away.
No.
That's not pleasant. But where can folks find you? Where can they go buy some stuff?
So shakrubs.com, CHAKRUBS.com, is where you can buy our whole collection, including my book, Crystal Healing and Sacred Pleasure. But that's also available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and everything like that. But, and it's good to also follow us on Instagram. That's where it's at. We do a lot of stuff on there. So at Shakrubs.
Rockin'. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And now for this week's guest, Angela Spera, the co-host, co-creator of This Is Why You're Single, which is a podcast, is a book, is a live sketch show. It could very well become some other things because, hey, I totally understand stretching an idea into different mediums because, hey, you're gonna see man whore across many stuff over the years. Angela Spera, co-host the This Is Why You're Single podcast with her dear friend Laura Lane. This Is Why You're Single, which is a great podcast I was on a couple years ago. And, I had her on to just chit chat. It was so funny. She was very worried about being too vanilla for this show. She's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of boring. I'm like, no, there's no boring.
Yeah.
You're in relationships and you love and you have vanilla sex. And those are all things a lot of people relate to. I'm the weird one. Don't worry about that. But we had a really great chat, and I think you're all really very much going to enjoy it. And I encourage you all to go check out Shock Rubs and go check out This Is Why You're Single. But for now, check out my conversation with Angela Spera. All I ask is that you be open and honest. So, you know, if you disagree, you can disagree. And if...
Oh, I'll disagree with you.
Oh, you will?
Here's a question. How close should I get we always say eat the mic, but should I eat this mic?
Yeah, do whatever's comfortable.
It's like a little mini stand-up.
Yeah, shout out to Jeff C for sending me these once upon a time. Some listener bought these off my wish list. I was like, cool, because
really,
I'm not gonna spend money to upgrade my setup.
I feel like I'm at the Comedy Cellar, but I'm laying on the ground. I'm in the cellar of the Comedy Cellar,
except way out in Bushwick.
Yeah,
with a pair of disembodied tits hanging from the door.
Oh, I didn't even see those. Thank you for pointing them out. Yeah. I expected there to be some kind of paraphernalia, so I'm not disappointed.
I did have to clean up vigorously. There was a motor bunny set up yesterday for a visitor that went awry, and then I had some free sex toys that I won that I haven't put away that have been laying around. I got this thing from B Vibe.
Don't you find that hosting a podcast about this stuff, we're just swimming in lube over This Is Why You're Single. I have so many different kinds of lubes. I have the fancy kind of lube that I would never buy for myself.
Or Uber Lube? Sponsor of the show.
We have Lola Lube,
okay,
who is a sponsor of the show. Use code SINGLE at checkout.
Hey!
They also make condoms, and they're all made without whatever bad stuff is normally in lube and condoms.
You're bad stuff. Whatever the bad stuff is, I don't know, but whatever that is, it's not there.
I literally went to use one of the condoms the other day, and I stopped what I was doing because I was just reading, and I was like, that stuff's in condoms usually? Oh, wow, this is fascinating. And I was just distracted.
Yeah, it is the benefits is just getting free shit in the mail. I have a big box of Uber Lube sitting out there for my Man Whore Con in August because they're going to sponsor the weekend. And they sent me way more than I was expecting.
Wow.
It's a heavy box that's 2 feet by 2 feet.
Is it all in one jug?
I have no idea. I hope not.
Because that's hard to distribute.
Right, right.
Everybody put out their palm church.
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah. Do you guys get free sex toys and shit too?
We just reached out. We sometimes will talk about a news story of a new sex toy, and then we're like, why are we doing this for free? We should reach out to these people and try and get free stuff.
And paid.
Well, yeah, but we get others. I have my mattress in my apartment. I have a free mattress from Lisa.
You're on?
Yeah.
Y'all are
use code single at checkout. Oh wait, I don't want to conflict with any of your sponsors.
I do not have any mattress sponsors yet.
I mean, it's
I have tried.
relevant. It's related to what you talk about.
That's how I've pitched it.
We always try to be you spend a lot of time in bed, Mm-hmm. We do the same thing with Brooklyn and Sheets. We're your sheets when you bring someone over, and we get free sheets.
Yeah.
Which is great. And they're great. I recommend them. When you bring someone over, they're very comfortable.
Yeah. Right now we're just doing, podcast shop talk. With Angela Spera. Is it Spera or Spera?
Spera, Sparadactyl.
Sparadactyl, which is your Twitter handle. Angela Spera, one of the co-hosts of the This Is Why You're Single podcast.
Yes. Hello.
Hello. Which I was on a couple years ago, right?
Was it years? It feels like yesterday.
I think I just quit my day job, which feels like November, December, January of 2016, 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Something like that.
It was a fun one, though. I remember we talked about, I think we quizzed you on fetishes, on names of fetishes.
Chlorophilia, the clown one. I learned that from you.
Did you learn that from us? I'm so proud.
Very proud.
See, I would think that was about a plant or something because of the chlorophyll.
Yeah,
Right? Chlorophyll?
You went and really deep dived and found one that was the falling, I forget if it was stairs or I think one was bumblebees.
There's definitely a fetish of both of those things. I don't remember what they're called. I wish.
Yeah. Well, so your show is great. So why don't you tell us a little bit about This Is Why You're Single?
Okay, so This Is Why You're Single started, it's had many lives. It started as a sketch show here in the city at the People's Improv Theater. And then it was a book called This Is Why You're Single. And now it's a podcast that's been going for 3 years. The podcast has by far been our favorite thing that we've done. And
the title is, again, I know the title of the sketch show in the book. What was the title of the podcast?
This Is Why You're Single. We're queens of branding. But we also, we locked in to this title early on. And it's a great title. It's eye-catching. People are like, oh, why am I single? And we're like, I don't know you. But it also sounds a little single shamey, which we're very self-conscious about. And we always like to clarify that we're not single shamey. Being in a relationship is not the end goal for everyone, but dating is just hard for everyone. And that's what it's about. Well, the struggle.
the struggle. Yeah. And then your future couples therapy, or no, your future like dating consultant practice will be also called This is why you're single.
And that will be appropriately named for once.
Well, this podcast is pretty much like, this is why I'm single. Let me just talk to all the exes and find out what the root was.
You know, that is my dream, but unfortunately that market has been kind of cornered podcast wise.
Yeah.
But I would love to bring an ex on to interview them.
Do it.
And be like, what's your fucking problem?
Yeah.
What up? But also all my exes fall off the face of the planet once we break up, which like I kind of want to run into people and have that awkward moment, but I don't know. They all burst into smoke.
What do you mean? Like they like go off social media, they go and find
I've
themselves in the desert?
always dated people that were like, you know, before it was cool to not have a Facebook, people that like didn't have Facebook. And like, you know, they just, or they'll block me on social media and here we are. I can't contact any of my exes.
You don't have you can't find them, or
no? In recent years, actually, I've become Facebook friends with a couple that previously like either didn't have them or like unfriended me or something. And years passed, and now we're like cool, but like I don't talk to them or anything.
Yeah, because I find that like a legitimate concern where like I have to like sometimes actually try to track people down, and it gets like kind of uncomfortable.
When you're like worried if they're alive.
No, it's just more like I feel very, because like in any other context than booking a podcast, this would be very not okay. Like when I'm like discovering that like, oh, I can't find her because she changed her name and now she's in Florida and has a kid. I've got the real name. Now I can finally contact her one day. That's an uncomfortable thing as someone you fucked once, I think now a decade ago.
Right.
That's a weird thing, but I have to always go like, no, it's for like a show. I swear, it's like real.
That's kind of why, you know, if you want to do that, you should just start a podcast. It really does make it acceptable. That's kind of why I want to take advantage of having my podcast to do that one day.
I would love to hear your exes on there. Yeah. But you're not single yourself.
No, I am not. I have been with my boyfriend for 4 years.
Mazel.
Thanks. I know, so boring. We're so heteronormative. But one of our first dates was him coming to the sketch show, the This Is Why You're Single sketch show. And we met on OkCupid. We had met in person once before. He came and saw me like do all my weird sketches about being single.
You invited him to a show as the first date?
No, it was the second date.
That's still risky.
I know. I don't know. I guess I was like, if he's not into this, then we'll know pretty quickly if this is going to work out. The final sketch of that show was kind of a play on like a cat lady sketch, if I remember correctly. But it basically ended with me ripping like a stuffed cat apart and like rubbing the bloody entrails on myself. So like he really saw the real me. And I think he was still into it. Then the Wall Street Journal happened to be at that show and they interviewed me. And I happened to mention, or no, I didn't mention because I was being careful. But Laura, my partner who I do all this stuff with, she was like, oh, Angela has a date here. So the Wall Street Journal winds up writing about my second date in print. It was a lot of pressure.
Now there's pressure, I feel like, to stay together for forever and ever so that you can keep that framed on a wall.
I know.
For future children. Because otherwise, that's now decoration you have to take down.
Yeah, I know. They referred to him as a man that Sparrow is seeing from OkCupid. And when I told him about it, I was like, it's not a big deal. Like, they just wrote it, but, you know, whatever. It's not serious. And he was like, yeah, the only weird part about it is they called me a man because I guess he feels like a boy.
Don't all of us who live on the L train under 35 feel like boys.
Hey, listen, we're off the F, okay?
Oh, y'all fans.
We're really grown up. No, it's all.
Wait, you two live together?
We do live together, yes.
And how long's that been?
It's been 2 years, but previously we lived in an apartment with 4 other roommates, like kind of a rotating door of people. So that it was basically like living in a dorm or a frat house or something. Like it's only been since November that we've lived just the 2 of us. And it's way better.
Way better?
Way better.
And you like it? You don't feel crowded? You feeling good?
Oh, no. It feels amazing. I think that it was really a good test of our relationship to live in the most uncomfortable situation, like sharing a bathroom with 4, 5, 6 people and like having to be quiet all the time and like really like not being able to have sex, to be honest with you, because like our room was off the living room. There were constantly people around.
But like, why? Who gives a fuck? Like,
I give a fuck.
This is a sexually loud household. she's loud. I'm loud. My toys are loud. If you go close enough to the front, you hear Matt and his guy spanking.
And like God bless you all. But
you're a little shyer.
That's the thing is like, I don't like, I get all that, but I personally am just like not aroused. Like I'm not going to be into it. If like I literally am like laying there and I see the light in the kitchen go on and hear somebody like rumbling around in like the ice tray, I'm like, okay, well, I lost it, you know?
Do you find that it's like a personal embarrassment or is it a distraction?
Probably both. I would say both. Because like if I overheard that, I'd be like giggling, and I don't want someone like giggling because I'm goofy like all the time. During sexy times, I want like seriousness, and I don't like stuff that like brings me out of it and like makes me laugh. I'll laugh right after, I'll laugh right before, but during, I want like a connection.
You want this connection. You want serious. You want like what's a really hot like sex romantic Ghost? I hear Ghost has a hot romantic
scene. I hate that like literally my head is conjuring Fabio, and that I couldn't be like more disgusted. Fabio. But that's like, listen,
you want an intensity.
I was raised in the 90s, so that's the reference that's coming to my brain. Not physically, but sure.
So you're not like an in the middle of sex giggler.
No, I mean, it happens because we're both goofballs, me and my boyfriend, but...
Is he also like a performer or comedian type?
I mean, he lives in New York, so he's done improv.
Okay.
And he used to live in LA, so he worked, you know, he dabbled in stand-up.
You're not a New Yorker unless you've done improv.
Oh, no. I mean, all you have to do is swipe through Tinder. Like, everybody's a comedian. And like, I wasn't above putting it in my bio, like being like, you know... comedian by day or by night, not by day.
Sure.
No one's a comedian by day. It's a good conversation starter. But yeah, so he's like goofier than I am. So like he'd be happy to like just like joke around the whole time. Like he does silly voices and I'm like, don't do that. Stop.
So you don't want the silly voice during sex?
No, like don't be like, oh, I'm Uncle Ian. No.
Well,
Jesus God, Uncle Ian. I mean, he's joking. He's not into that.
He's
That's
not your
his
Uncle
fetish.
Ian, you're saying. He's not, okay.
Yeah. But he thinks it's funny to say that.
Mm.
And I don't.
Yeah. I say choose your character better.
Right?
Maybe, but I don't know. I like giggling. I like a good laugh. I like something off to happen. Like I like it to be fun and consistent, but if something like odd happens, I like it when we can both burst out into laughter and like she's still into it and I'm still hard, so we can keep doing it.
And I think like that's fun every once in a while. Mm-hmm. But if it's like your norm, that's the problem.
Sure.
And it was kind of like the norm.
Uh-huh. But now you have your privacy.
We have our privacy. I mean, our walls are a little thin. Sometimes I can hear the baby next door crying, and that's kind of a boner killer for me, you know, whatever the female equivalent of that is. But yes, it is lovely.
But now you were telling me before that you're out on your show about having a boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but you weren't like in the beginning, right?
Right. Well, I always referred to him as like the guy I'm seeing.
Sure.
Because that was true. Mm-hmm. I didn't know where it was going to go. But, you know, a year in, I was like, okay, he can be my boyfriend now on the show officially.
Now, what goes into, was that like a conversation you had? Is that a thing? Because like it's a thing I have to go through when I have a girlfriend or something.
A conversation with him?
Yeah, at some point there's like a talk of like what's going on, what's not going on. Are we naming you? Are we not? Do we tag you on social media? Do you need to just like, we can have pictures of, like I had an ex who, you know, pictures of us could be together, but don't tag them.
So that's really responsible of you. And I should have had that conversation. You are very mature.
Well, I have the face of the guy who's easy to yell at.
Okay.
So it's, I have to cover a few more bases. Unfortunately, I have to cover more bases than you. We should live in a world where we can both get yelled at for the same damn thing.
Well, I guess the kind of stories I'm telling are a little bit usually less intimate in nature. Yeah. Or, you know, so I would think. But I have gotten in trouble for telling or saying things that he didn't like. So the good thing is he doesn't really listen to the show at all.
Sure.
So, like, I get away with more than I probably would if he listened.
Yeah.
But every now and then he'll, like, listen, or, like, one of my friends will mention something and he'll be like, you said that? Why did you say that? So like early on, like I would always be like, oh, you know, the kind of guys I'm into are like Seth Rogen types, like chubby, like whatever. And then he'd be like, people are going to think I'm hideous. And I'm like, no, you're just like a little bear. And I love that. But he doesn't take that as a compliment.
Is he a little bear?
He is. He's a little bear. When I first met him, on my first date, I texted my friend from the bathroom and I was like, I like this little Care Bear. And that, to me, though, that is the highest compliment. Like, my type is Care Bear.
You think that's cute, but like we
But
hear
hot.
that.
I think that's hot.
You think that's
because nobody
hot.
wants to be cute.
Right, but we hear that and we do not think that that's a hot thing to say because it's not the way we've been conditioned to be complimented.
I know.
But I see how you think it's a compliment.
Yeah. And then I've also mentioned, so he's deaf in one ear. And then one time, Laura mentioned that he has a little stutter. Now, all these things combined make him sound like Quasimodo, and he's not. But he's like, like I sound like I'm like a stuttering, deaf, like fat, whatever. And yeah, maybe you do sound like that. But obviously I have good taste and I'm into you. So my listeners understand.
Yeah.
And I post pictures of him and people see it. They see that he's not a monster.
Yeah. But there's like, I feel like there's a factor of like privacy in that. I mean, again, maybe he's just super comfortable, but and you guys have a huge show. You do have a huge show. So it's like, sometimes people don't want to be like my exes, like people would go find them.
Yeah.
And then that would sometimes go to a not good place. And then I have to go on the show and be like, hey, everyone, can you not don't DM my girlfriend, please? That would be, very, stuff like that. And you got to establish the boundaries. And with a show as large as yours, I got to imagine has he been contacted by strangers?
No. I have to say what's really amazing for the most part about our listeners is they contact us and they're always like, I feel like you're my friends. I feel like you're my big sisters. Because as we get older, our listeners seem to get younger. So we're the big sisters. You're
now. Early 30s, late 20s?
I'm 29. Thank you very much. Not yet 30.
Because she's a little older.
Laura's 32, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our listeners are just very like they act like they kind of know us and they know Ian and Nick. Nick is Laura's husband, and they'll like just reference things like, oh, I know Ian likes this, so like here I sent you this article, or they're very sweet.
So sweet.
I know. I don't think anybody's ever contacted him directly, but he also doesn't check his DMs. Maybe people are sliding into his DMs.
Maybe. But I never find that it's like a malicious thing. I think it's just like an over enthusiasm for the show and for the quote unquote characters of the show. Because for all intents and purposes, a significant other of the host that you really, really like listen to every week is kind of like a character in this like storyline of this person's life.
It's totally true. And like, not that we're not being authentic on the show, but I think we both have like our roles that we fill. Like Laura and I are kind of like yin and yang and like,
oh, yes,
we are
you two
very
are.
different.
Oh, yes,
are we?
Oh, yes.
I mean, yes.
I sat
but
there
like,
in that apartment and be like, I got an idea. This is a fun sitcom.
Yeah. Well, we pitched that sitcom and we sold it for the record, but it never made it to air. Whatever. They wanted us to play ourselves though. And
y'all don't want to go on what?
I'm not an actress, but it was fun taking acting lessons. That was fun.
Okay.
It was,
but you do the sketch show.
Again, I live in New York, so like I had to have that experience once.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I'm more of a writer, but it was an experience. But yeah, we're very different. And that's why the show works, I think. Like Laura she's more outgoing. She definitely like dated more people and can speak to that end of things. And like I deal with like the people that are like shy and introverted and like don't know what the fuck they're doing. No, it's crazy to think about though. Your episode was not that long ago, but so much has changed in a short period of time where I feel like we've both probably been exposed.
She going to sex parties now? What's going on?
And she's pregnant and she's just like
still going to sex parties. Good for her.
No, not at all. Not at all. In that sense, I think we're both pretty boring, but I do think it would be really fun for her and I to like go to a sex party and be voyeurs.
Sure.
I don't think either of us would be into participating, but
voyeurism is participation.
Sure. And I would love nothing more than to be the escort of the pregnant lady at the sex party, you know?
So what's changed?
Oh, like, well, I think there's just more exposure to like different kind of lifestyles and different preferences. I hate to use the word woke unironically, but aren't we all just a little woker nowadays? So I would hope and guess that she would be less surprised by those things now. I mean, I'm not saying I don't think she'd be into a bee fetish.
Sure.
Nor would I personally, but yeah, we're women who contain multitudes because she's like made out with girls and like she's like done ayahuasca, which I would do. And I'm scared to do ayahuasca. See, like I just need to be in control of myself all the time. I'm laid back and I'm a control freak.
Drugs freak me out, especially like weed I barely do, but like drugs that they talk about how much you trip in or hallucinate. And I go
Right.
like, no, I don't trust what's going to come out. I don't know what's going to go there. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to like,
Because if you want to get out of it, you're stuck in
Yeah.
that state. And that's what I don't like.
and I don't want to be held criminally responsible for things I may do in a state of mind that I can't predict. So I
Right.
stay away from a lot of that.
Also, a lot of people
stuff.
that do ayahuasca like have violent diarrhea and vomit, and they just give you a bucket, and you're like out in the middle of nature. And frankly, I'm not into nature, so it just there's not a lot there for me. But I would want to like see some cool stuff and like see what Mother Aya has to say about my childhood. But otherwise, not into it.
Slapping the bug bites. I'm like, I'm not going to find myself in this bucket. Not for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
But I did like how when I asked, like, as one of my little pre-screener questions, I go like, oh, and then what sexual orientation do we identify? And he was like, straight. And I was like, oh, so straight with a sigh. Cool. So like straight and not happy about it.
Well, no, not that I'm not happy about it, but I feel like it's loaded at this point to be like, I'm straight. Like it makes me sound like I'm not open to other things, but it's my preference.
Yeah.
I can't help it. I like to say that I like male presenting
Sure.
gentlemen.
You're open to the idea of a dude with a pussy who turns you on.
Exactly. Absolutely. And I also think like, had I been raised now, like I have friends that are teachers, like all their middle schoolers and their high schoolers, like nobody identifies one way or the other. They're all like gender queer or whatever. So like, who knows who I would be if
It's
I
just a
came
Nebraskan
of age now.
congressperson's nightmare
Yeah.
out here.
I know, but to me, I'm like, I can't keep up with these middle schoolers. I'm so boring. Yeah, that's just.
But there's nothing, but I don't see it as boring. I see it as like what you're in, so long as it's not boring to you. And I think that's what's so important is that, people go like, well, I don't have these fetishes or whatever, but like, I love having the awesome vanilla sex I have. I'm like, God bless you.
Right.
I think the problem is when we got the people who have that vanilla sex and are bored by it and are afraid to try the other
and
things.
are closed off to the other stuff. I think from a young age, I've always been around a lot of like queer people. So like, I very much feel like connected to that culture, but like I'm not part of it. And like that sounds very Rachel Dolezal-y, and I don't want to go, I'm not saying it in that way, but like I care about a lot of people who are gay, and I have a lot of gay people in my life, and I love Judy Garland. I almost got a Judy Garland tattoo. So like I like to think that my lifestyle is cool.
Yeah.
With those
cool.
For lack of a better word, I can't find.
I thought you were like,
right
I know a lot of
word,
gay people. I'm very cool. I'm a very cool
No.
person. Look
You
at
know
my
what-
squad
no.
of queers.
because I don't want to use the word woke again twice in one episode.
I mean,
Jesus.
white people, you only get 3 wokes a week to
And then
say.
you-
So
And then
you don't want to waste
then
them
we
all on
take
this
you out back.
podcast.
A week? Did you say a week? I think in a lifetime.
In a lifetime, you're going to say that word that many times. I didn't want to
Unironically.
waste it just now.
Smart. Save them.
Saving them for those good times. But so wait, what was your connection to like the LGBT world growing up?
So like in high school, my 2 best friends were ladies. And I thought we were just like 3 best friends having sleepovers, hanging out. And it turns out they were fucking each other the whole time.
Like during the sleepovers?
Yeah.
Is high school?
Yes, this is in high school. And it was like so once they finally came out to us, first of all, they scared the hell out of me because they're like, we have to tell you something like that is really serious. And I thought one of them was going to have cancer. So when they were like, oh, we're like fucking each other, I was like, oh, thank God.
How old were y'all when that conversation happened?
That was like, I think senior year of high school, but it had been going on, I think maybe 2 or 3 years.
And how'd you feel?
So like I said, I was relieved initially. And this was like what, 2004, 2005, no, 2005, I guess, 2006. This is before like the idea of like sexuality being fluid and all that stuff was kind of like known. So like my one friend was like, I don't identify as gay. Like I just feel like my sexuality is fluid. And my other friend was like, knew she was a lesbian. So like I was thinking about all these things early on, and like kind of like I loved my friends, and I was like, I've never felt that way myself. Like it took me a while to figure out what fluid meant and what the difference between that and like bisexual was,
Right.
And it's
The problem with wokeness, so much research you got to do. There's a lot of reading involved.
Yeah. Can't keep up. But yeah, so initially it was fine. I think that the real issue was where it was like, oh my God, now I'm the third wheel all the time. That was what sucked. I hate when friends date. When two friends like start feeling each other, I'm like, no, don't do it unless you're going to get married and be together forever, because if you break up, you're going to ruin my life.
Has that happened to you before?
Yeah, with the same friend that was like
with
in high school.
With the girls?
Her and the girl eventually broke up, and then she wound up dating another good friend of mine.
But did you and you had to choose sides?
Oh, in that breakup, yeah. Ooh. Yeah, it was hard. I tried to be friends with both for a while, and that's always really hard. And they didn't have an easy breakup, and there were shitty things said, so I kind of had to pick a side.
Did you suspect anything before they came out to you? Did you suspect anything about this?
I was the one friend, because it's like a group of friends, and like my other friends were like, they are in love. And I was like, no.
Oh, so it was a big, like, they would be group sleepovers?
This was like towards the end, like, because like I initially didn't suspect anything. Then towards the end, I guess it just got more and more obvious. And then like leading up to them coming out to us, and like my friends were like, oh, like they're in love with each other. And I was like, no, they're friends. They're just friends.
Girls always help each other shave their downstairs regions. What are you talking about?
They just like to cuddle. You know, it feels safe when you're little spoon. But yeah, I was wrong.
And you didn't feel left out? You were like, oh, guys.
Well, I no. Because I was so like, they were far more sexual than I was earlier on. Like, I was definitely not naked with anybody in high school, for sure. So I was like, no.
Were you in locker rooms with the towel and shades under the
well, I
towel?
went to Catholic school, so I had the uniform, which is actually pretty conducive to like you just pull the shorts on under the skirt, then you take the skirt off. Yeah, I was not getting naked.
Well, so then how did you discover your sexuality? As your boring hetero vanilla sexuality.
So the funny thing about my sexuality is like, I have a lot of friends who started masturbating really early, like second grade early, just like discovering their bits. And I was never curious. I didn't even really understand that women could masturbate, really. Like, I don't think I fully understood like what that meant for a woman, like how you would do that. I thought you just needed like a giant dildo. And I was like, well, I'm 14 years old and I don't have one. So I was like, I hooked up with people before I ever figured out how to like pleasure myself. And so like, I had a boyfriend my freshman year of college. We were hooking up for a long time before I realized that I wasn't orgasming and should be. Mm-hmm. So like all of a sudden one day, like, I don't know, he just like touched the right thing and I was like, oh, that.
Do that.
Oh, okay. And then like from there on out, I was like, okay, I'm a clitoral orgasmer.
Mm-hmm. But so you weren't as most women are.
Right. Which, by the way, is something that I've learned from like our podcast. We hear from girls a lot that are like, I've never orgasmed. Like, I'm having sex with all these guys. What am I doing wrong? We're like, to quote Amy Schumer, all the good stuff is up top.
Yeah.
And I think girls don't either. They know that and they're afraid to like tell guys, or they don't know. I don't know.
They haven't taken the time to explore themselves,
right? Like
themselves
myself.
with themselves. Like if you're not coming with your partner, first thing I would say is like go to your room by yourself, do it just you, because you can't teach them a thing that you can't do yourself.
Yeah.
Right. It's like I can't teach someone how to give me a good hand job if I can't give myself a good hand job.
Right. Luckily, men figure that out much sooner.
Yeah, we just learn stroke and repeat.
Right. You're like, I want to help a woman do this one day, so I'm going to practice for her.
That's why I'm doing it. Yeah. That's why. It's a much loftier goal. Uh-huh. Yeah. Wait, but now when you were having sex and you're not coming, but you're doing it.
So I wasn't having sex.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, I forgot.
I'm what I consider to be a late in life virgin. I was like 23 when I lost my virginity, and this was like my freshman year.
Well, what were you all doing then?
Like lots of, at the ripe old age of 29 now, I can look back and be like, you know what? I was kind of like an empowered little bitch, because I was like, I don't want to get pregnant. I don't want to get an STD, which I could have technically gotten an STD, but I was like, I don't want to get pregnant and ruin my life. So I'm just going to have people go down on me. And like,
yeah,
I know, right? And like at the time, I was like, I'm such a prude. But now I'm like, no, you were getting yours.
And coming out of Catholic school of all things,
you go. You know what? Not great sex education. So I was like, I don't know how to put on a condom. Right. So we're gonna make this work.
That's how my virginity loss story involves her tossing me a condom and I tossed it back to her because I was like, I don't know how to do that. You're going to have to do it for me. And the woman very embarrassingly put the condom on my dick for me before I gave her very, very lackluster sex.
I feel like most major like sexual milestones in my life I've Googled how to do before doing them. Like before my first date in high school, I Googled how to kiss. And then I Googled how to French kiss, and then the guy was like, "You're really good at that." I was like, "Thanks."
Time for the fan whore appreciation moment. Okay. This is the part of the podcast where I like to thank some of the members of my fan whore community on Patreon. And why is that? Well, y'all are the ones keeping a roof over my head and the lights on, and I appreciate you so much for it. Your membership means the world to me. Right now, I want to say a special shout out to Pamela K, just a Chi-Town babe. Oh my God. Wow. I got to get myself out to Chicago. I got some great looking listeners out there. Shout out to Brandon Harrell. Ooh, Canada, my something land. Oh, I love seeing the fan whore delegation up in Canada holding strong. We got another Canuck to thank. Thank you to Garnett Van Dyke. Can I get a free zipline ride while I'm up there? Seems like you may be the one to help me out with that. I also may need someone like hold my hand before I finally like jump off the thing because heights terrify me. But thank you so much for your support. And you too can join our fan whore community for as little as $1 per month. That's 4 quarters every month. That's a quarter a week, which I'm pretty sure you can find in your pocket right now. That might be better served in mine. And it's not just to give it to me. You get access to super secret fan whore communities like the Champagne Room and the Peep Show. You get exclusive listening access to bonus episodes on Patreon, like my one with Vanessa Cuccia from Shock Rubs, and oh so much more. All you gotta do is head on over to patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. Join the club, join the fun, but now let's wrap it on up with Angela Spera. I feel like I learned a lot of sex stuff from stand-up comedy, which is very concerning.
That's very bad.
But I think worked. I mean, I learned...
Hopefully just not Dane Cook.
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
Oh, no, maybe. I think the little come hither probably, he probably played a hand in it.
It was that time period.
You know, do the Sufi in her twat. What? Do you remember the Sufi?
No.
He had the super finger. So instead of like just the super finger,
yes.
it was the...
And that was like his logo.
Yeah.
He was... And he had like jokes about like giant labias that I feel like have permeated culture and made girls feel... Thank God. I always say thank God I didn't even know that labias were a thing to be insecure about when I was younger, because who needs yet another thing? I didn't even know that was a thing that varied on women. Mm-hmm. I was like, I thought we're all the same.
I didn't realize y'all had to worry about like the different types of breasts. Like, are my boobs okay?
I mean, I knew that was a thing because that's more of a common thing, but it was never something. I very quickly learned once I was like, with a guy that as long as you got a body, they don't really care.
Okay.
Like they're boobs. Boobs are boobs.
Boobs are boobs.
Yeah.
So now you're in college and you're having the guys go down on you, but you're not orgasming.
No, well...
But so, like, what made you... was the feeling like, I don't... What I'm trying to get to is like...
I eventually figured out how to orgasm, and I was orgasm.
Right, but you said like you didn't... It was happening and you didn't know you were supposed to be? And so were you kind of did it even feel good, or was it I guess this is what this is? That's, I guess, what I'm curious about.
Yeah. It was definitely like, this feels good. Is that an orgasm? Maybe. I don't know. And then maybe like, it took like a half a year maybe into my first relationship for that to finally happen. And then from there on out, I knew what it felt like, whatever. And then like after I broke up with that person, I was like single for a long time, and like it never like occurred to me to like touch myself. And then finally one night, like I think like 2 years later, I was like, all my roommates are gone, I'm gonna try this. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't really need a guy.
Well, because like what breaks my heart is like when I hear about like women who go, sorry, rewind.
Go on.
What breaks my heart is like when I'll hear about women who, before they discovered pleasure, will say they were having sex and now it wasn't feeling good. They certainly weren't having orgasms, and they just thought that's what was supposed to happen because they didn't think they were supposed to enjoy it because they were like, well, this is, I guess, for the dudes.
I think maybe because, I mean, like I had that period, but it was only a short period of time. Other than like my whole life leading up to that, but like from the start of my like first sexual encounter to my first orgasm, it was only, a matter of 6 months. And I think because I was like, I'm not having sex with you, and I was like only doing like oral sex and like, fingers, whatever. Like, I think that I got over that hump quicker than a lot of women because like that stuff works way better for most women. So I was never dealing with like having bad sex where like only one person was getting something out of it. It's called the Angela Spera method. I recommend it to all young girls. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm lucky in that way.
Right. Well, how does it feel having like women emailing you all the time for advice and whatnot?
Well, it's hard to give advice on that particular thing because I think it's very intimate, obviously, and there's no like one advice fits all situations. Right. So I always like advocate, don't do anything that you don't want to do, no matter what age you are. Like, just, it's whatever. But like, what I do understand is really hard is when you're ready to have sex and you are past an age that like you think is acceptable, and like navigating that conversation with the person, like that I feel like also is kind of like, it's like whatever you're comfortable with. But from my situation, I was always like, I just want to have sex with somebody that I'm in love with and that loves me. It's like very simple criteria. And like, I wasn't able to find that. So then I graduated college and like time went on and I was like, now I just want to have sex with anybody. I want to get this over with.
Okay.
But like, it's definitely going to be like a person that I meet on Tinder, like OkCupid, whatever. And I'm going to have to like have that conversation with them. Like, do I tell them? Do I not? And like, what worked for me was I waited till that moment when I was ready to do it. And I was like, by the way, like, I'm a virgin, but it's not a big deal. I'm like not gonna be clingy. And like, I deal with a lot of stuff with humor and that works for me. And like, the person just like laughed it off and like, I wasn't clingy. I followed through on that. So like,
okay,
I was honest and that worked for me. But like, we've heard from listeners who didn't tell the person that it was their first time and they're like, that worked for me.
Yeah.
So I think you just have to, again, go with your gut.
Well, like just getting advice,
go with what you're comfortable with.
Right. But like, you go from what you were doing for, work before the podcast, and you get this podcast that blows up, and you have this book that's out there, and you get a lot of emails, I imagine, whether not just about sex, but about dating or love or any of that stuff. Was that ever weird to be like, they want my fucking opinion?
Yeah. Well, we definitely because we've been quoted in like different magazines that will reach out to us as like experts. And we're like, in later years, we've been like, maybe don't call us relationship experts, because what we call our advice big sister advice or, best friend advice, is because sometimes you just need a unbiased third party perspective on your situation.
Right.
And we just use like the wisdom that we have accumulated over our years of dating.
Lower that bar.
Yeah. But and then like when we get a question that's like doesn't like our experience doesn't cover that question, we'll try and bring on an expert. So we're like pretty good about, I think, being responsible with people's lives.
Sure.
Like we have a folder in our email called like for therapists, and we have like a therapist lined up because we're like, we don't want to answer this question and do it a poor job and ruin someone's life. So.
But also, like that's what you get for like writing in a very, very serious question to like a podcast show.
Sure, exactly. But like, we'll totally bring on the question that's like, we had one that was like, I went on a date with a guy and he went to the bathroom in the restaurant and stole a roll of toilet paper. Do you guys think that's weird? And like that, I feel equipped to answer.
Yeah.
That is within my wheelhouse.
And the answer is, it's weird that he told you.
Yeah.
Unless you're both super poor and he's trying to brag about how like, look, I can provide for you. Look what I can steal for our life together.
I personally, if he had a sense, that was my answer. I was like, if he had a sense of humor about it, it was like self-aware and was like, listen, I didn't have time to go grocery shopping this week. I couldn't pick up toilet paper. I feel like I could laugh it off and it wouldn't be a total red flag or deal breaker, but it's all about how you handle it. Because if you're really creepy and like you just put it on the table and you don't talk about it.
Why is it on the table? Why is it on the table?
Well,
It
that's
goes
also
in
just like a health code thing.
There's so many problems with this guy. His method with dating and with thievery is both suspect. Who stole the toilet paper? Certainly not the guy with it on his table.
Men don't carry purses though, you know? How do you...
You got a backpack.
I guess
don't know.
that's why Aladdin had like a satchel, right? Did he have a satchel?
That's exactly why he had it the whole time, to steal toilet paper.
Yeah.
It's just so funny that you brought that up because I went, as many of my stories begin, I went to show up to a gangbang.
Okay.
Gangbang did not happen. I showed up to the room and there's nobody in the hotel room, which freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah, that's like, I'm going to wake up and somebody's going to take my organs or something.
Yeah, it's just, it's like, hey, we're doing it was a Reddit gangbang. I had upgraded from Craigslist gangbangs, and they just
is Reddit an upgrade?
I think so. I like Reddit. If I have to put a post to organize something, so like we're dropping this right here now, way too early, but we're gonna be doing the Pepsi challenge with cocksucking.
Oh, how does that? Well, do you want to explain that now, or are you going to wait? You're going to save that.
I'll tell you now. I may or may not cut it out.
Okay.
We're gonna have a couple. We might do this with like 3 couples, possibly to see if because I don't know if it's gonna take as long as I imagine. So we'll do it with 3. Maybe also throw in like a same-sex male couple to be inclusive, and like make Billy have to be around more dudes blowing each other than he normally is. So there'll be a couple who thinks like they know each other quite well. Kind of a dating game show.
Oh, yeah. This would be great on like Lifetime. Bravo, maybe.
And so the guy will be blindfolded and earplugged. Like I'll get like a hotel room and there will be 3 to 5 women total, like his partner and like 2 to 4 other women. And they'll each take turns like doing like 2 to 3 minutes of a blowjob and just go like through. And then and he doesn't come. He's supposed to just like get a sampling of each. Then at the end, like we'll line up, we'll take off the blindfold, be like, okay, which number do you think it was? It's like, I think it was number 3. And I'm like, cool. So, well, here was who number 1 was. And then do a reveal like that. That would be fun.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And I'll interview the couple together and separately. I'll talk to all the women involved and it'll be a fun time. And I'll do that with like a couple couples and that'll be good.
I feel like I would know. I like to think that I would know, but
then maybe you should.
No.
you and the boyfriend could be one of the couples. No. So when I have to recruit for things like this, I like using Reddit because I feel like they will use their fucking. They will read the ad. Mm-hmm. I have had more cooperation with like if I put an instruction at the bottom that says, make your subject line this, so I know that you read the whole thing. Like I feel like they do it more often than the Craigslist guys did. They have user histories I can look at. So although a lot of people use throwaways, when a guy uses his natural one, I almost like give him more credit.
Yeah.
So I like using Reddit for recruiting group encounters. But anyways, like, so I applied to a gangbang. I show up to the hotel room and there's no one in it. It's propped open, but no one's there. So I'm like, this is weird. And then I'm like trying to use the Kick app to figure like what's going on. Turns out the one guy canceled. Another guy is like, I'm running too late. I'm not going to be able to make it. So I was the last guy left. And she was like, oh no, I just left, but I'm coming back up. Cause she went there to get fucked and no one showed up. So I was like, well, we can fuck. And so we did. But at the end, I was like, I went
happy ending.
Yeah, it was great. I had some fun sex and then went to the bathroom and I was like, hey, I'm just going to low key like take the toilet paper because we didn't pay for the hotel room. The rich guy who coordinated the whole thing paid for the hotel room. I was like, look, not for nothing, but this is all free shit to me.
Yeah, take everything.
So,
there's lotions too. There's shampoos.
I took shampoo.
Shower cap.
I didn't take shampoo, but I took the lotions and I took like 3 rolls of toilet paper.
Good.
And put it in my bag. I was like, great.
But great night for you.
But on a date, I'm not going to go. If I was on a date and did that,
yeah,
I'm not necessarily going to tell her that that's what I just did. And I advertise how poor I am already to dates, but I'm usually not going to just like straight up put it on the table. So that dude's a moron.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what his situation was, but they definitely did not wind up together.
Right.
So.
But I do also like to set the expectations lower. Like if I apply to like some sort of thing where they're like quoting people, you say, hey, just please don't call me an expert, just a comedian with a fuck show. Like, I want to trip over the bar every day. I don't want to like be held to that high of a standard.
Yeah. Because we're not psychiatrists. We're not like sexologists, however you become that, like we're none of those things. We're just big sisters.
Yeah. Who are very funny talking into microphones.
Right. Who also, yes, we're comedians at one time. Laura's still a comedian. I just kind of do the podcast, so I feel like I can't identify as a comedian.
Oh, okay.
I'm a podcaster.
How long have you been
with a day job?
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But how long did you stop doing comedy?
Well, around the time that we started,
I didn't realize that. I would have never booked you. No. Okay.
I think that my podcast qualifies me. Thank you very much. I'm also creating a game show. I'm a creator. Around the time we started doing the book, it just took up so much time.
Sure.
Along with
stopped doing the sketch show.
A day job, that we kind of, the sketch show kind of fell off. We love doing the sketch show. I don't know if we'll ever do that particular show again. It would be nice to. We've done some live podcasts, which kind of fill that void, and that's fun. But other stuff kind of got in the way.
Sure. And now there's a boo thing to go home to. Even less reason to go out.
I would never blame that. That makes me sound awful.
No,
like,
you seem
Betty
happy
Draper or something.
and healthy, like where the way humans should be, not like sad alone in a basement with other sad alone people.
I also I've learned to listen to my limits. Some people can take on a million things. Like Laura's that kind of person where she can have like a million projects going, and be pregnant and like whatever. But I kind of, my limit I think is like 3 things, like I have a day job and I can have like 2 creative projects outside of that job, but I also really value, like I need to be home and recharge like a few nights a week. So it's been a process.
It must be nice to like go home to somebody like for that recharge.
It is very nice. Sometimes I'm like, you're like my therapy dog. And he's like, why can't I just be your boyfriend? And I'm like, no, I like dogs better than people. So this is a big compliment.
If you don't let me call you the dog, I'm going to go back to calling you the Care Bear. You don't want that, do you? Do you?
They're all just little furry animals.
He's like, I just want to be a man now.
I'm a real boy.
I'm a real man. I know. I remember having the feeling of coming home to a girlfriend because one of my exes, the one I was dating when I was on your show, we are not together anymore.
I'm sorry.
And very not well.
At least you have this podcast to vent about it, right?
Yes and no, because apparently she listens and like
wouldn't you?
Stop.
If your ex had a podcast, wouldn't you about dating?
I've blocked both of my 2 exes because I then had a girlfriend for about 3 months, a little while after that. We blocked on all the things. I don't low key like look in secret browsers at their social media. No, that's not helping me heal.
Well, that's the thing is like, if you really want to get over someone, you should just like not like block them. Don't look at any of their shit.
We did the blocks because I know I would look.
Exactly. I do the
and
same
because
thing.
they don't want it. Like, I mean, both sides mutually very much want the blocking for whatever reasons. I know one of the reasons I'm happy with the blocking is because I know if I didn't, I would look. And you can still open up secret browsers on like, secret Chrome browser, which is apparently what they're doing because like I got like,
incognito mode.
I don't know. All I'm saying is like P sometimes will like reach out and be like, Billy's talking about me on the podcast. And it's like, did I I mention you once on this episode that was recent? And it's like, stop looking. It's not healthy for either of us to keep stop listening to my fucking podcast. You're my ex-girlfriend. Like, stop listening so you can try to find me talking about you. Because I might, and you don't want to hear that, and I'm allowed to.
Yeah, I guess it's weird. It's like your image, you can't control like what people are saying about you and putting out into the...
Actually, any of my exes can control that. All they have to do is come on the show, and they get to totally take control of it.
Oh, Lord.
And typically, I like to think that my listeners want to side with my exes, as long as my exes are cideable. I've had...
What a man thing to say.
I look, I am a piece of garbage, and most of the women who have been dumb enough to make out with me are angels. However, there are some who are not. There's one gal, I'm not going to say a name only because I know she used a pseudonym, but I don't remember what pseudonym she used. It's probably back in like episode 30 or 40 something. And she caught me when I was like, we hooked up when I was like 23, 22. It was very fuckboyish. I was not very, I was still like learning. I just didn't know how to be like an ethical fuckboy. And
Is that how you identify now, an ethical fuckboy?
No, I don't like being called
Okay.
a fuckboy. Well, I mean, sometimes I go through fuckboy phases, and I'm okay with it as long as I'm identifying it as a phase. But as like a
Right.
human, I don't believe I am.
I feel like you kind of have to be a bro to be a fuckboy.
Do I? And
Right.
I don't look like. Do I come off as a bro?
No.
No. Okay.
Where are you from? Are you from Long Island?
I grew up in North Jersey, born in school in Connecticut.
So, like, if you let yourself, you could.
I let myself go.
Yeah, you could turn into a bro.
I could.
But I'm from Long Island, so I could turn into Snooki. We all have it in us.
And so I get very weird and self-conscious about that because, like, I know what my face looks like. Like, I know I look like the enemy, but I also been like, but I'm not a bro. Sometimes, the types of people who are critics of me are the types who don't like bros. I'm like, I don't like them either. And they'll, like, insult me by saying, this fucking bro. And I'm like, oh, I'm not. I don't know.
I feel like most bros are not, like, educated on, like sexuality and, like, interested in, like, they're very heteronormative, the bros.
I'm just a generic run-of-the-mill asshole. Huge difference.
Yeah.
But so there's this one woman who was on the show who, like, I was not great with. Like, definitely good. Like, she blew me in a bathroom, and then apparently, and I had forgotten about this, and I was so embarrassed. Still embarrassed even mentioning this. But apparently, like, we met up at this bar, and then, like, she blew me in the bathroom, and then she asked me to walk her half a block or a block to the subway.
Mm-hmm.
That subway was in the opposite direction of the subway I need to go to.
Oh, no.
And it was bright daylight. We were in Chelsea.
Oh,
And
okay. That
the
does change things
reason-
a little bit, but
But my thing, because I'm an asshole, her reason was she didn't feel safe at like 8 o'clock at night in Chelsea, walking by
8
herself.
o'clock at night is not you. First you were like the middle of the day. Now we're 8 o'clock at night. I mean, it's dusk.
It's dusk, but we're in Chelsea. So I was like, it's not unsafe to walk to the train. If she just said like, hey, I'd really like to like walk to the train with you.
Probably would you have said yes? Because I feel like you would have still said no.
I don't know. I feel like, yeah, you know what? You're right. I would have probably still said no.
That's what she meant. What she probably meant was like, I just did something intimate with you and I feel yucky about myself having to be like sent off into the night alone.
Back to Jersey, because that's
I mean,
where she
I don't know.
was driving
Maybe,
back to.
Okay, if she's from Jersey, maybe she did feel unsafe. Because sometimes people from the suburbs don't get what neighborhood they're in. And they're like, I'm in the city. I'm going to get mugged.
Right.
So maybe she really did feel unsafe. But I would guess, because I've pulled that move, she probably just didn't want to walk alone.
Probably.
And I think you knew that, Billy.
I was just a little dickhead.
Okay.
I own that, like, that was an embarrassing moment for me because I was really so she's telling this story, right? You'd think, and as a podcaster, I was excited because, like, I want people to be able to, like, I want the exes who are not happy with me to come on. Those are the ones who are, like, least likely to agree. And I'm like, isn't it, like, everyone's dream to, like, shit on their ex to thousands and thousands of people? Like, isn't that?
It depends, I guess, how traumatized you were by the breakup. If you've had, I don't know,
Right.
It depends on how badly you fucked up, I suppose.
True. So, but, like, I'm sitting there, she's telling this, I'm like, all right, she's giving it to me, but that's good. I got emails of just how much people didn't like her. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was supposed to be the unlikable person for this episode, which is good.
Yeah.
But this woman is so unlikable outside of like for everything else she talked about that no one was sympathizing with her.
Lord. I mean, it's not a position I would envy, but I haven't heard the episode. Maybe she sucks. I don't know.
I was excited to be the villain for once. And she robbed me of it by being like just a Jersey girl herself. Hey, but so sometimes my ex will still listen. Apparently, I guess that or she's got spies. Because like I will get like random angry text messages that I fucking mention her about podcasts that aren't even mine, where I'm on someone else's.
Have you considered not mentioning her anymore?
Because it's like my life. I mean, it was 2 years of my life. It's a very somebody wants to ask me about that breakup. It was a very painful breakup for me, and it was a very significant It was my first girlfriend since I was 19. And I started this podcast because no one wanted to be my girlfriend.
Yeah.
It was this is why I'm single. I'm like, why does everyone want to fuck me but not date me, right? And so I'll never stop talking about her categorically, but it's weird that like, it's been 7 months. Why are you still listening? Like, stop.
Right.
You're hurting yourself doing that.
Yeah, it's true. And I guess like
she wrote a blog about me. I would probably look once at a thing and then just not.
It's weird. I definitely like when I was still single when we started doing this sketch show, and like I found it like therapeutic to like write sketches and like use that kind of stuff as material.
Yeah.
So like, and like it kind of made me feel invincible. I was like, nothing can go wrong. Like the worst kind of breakup, the worst like terrible dating thing that could happen is just material for me.
Yeah.
Everything is copy.
Right.
So like, I get that you really can't stop using that stuff when this is your when dating and sex your genre.
It's like it's also like it's my art. It's
your art.
My dick stories are my art form.
Right.
Weirdly,
Podcasting is an art, isn't it?
I think so. It's a lot of
And
fucking
we are
work.
all artists. It is.
Oh my
It
God,
is a
it's
lot
so
of
much
work.
And especially like with comedy. Like if I write jokes, like yeah, if you're the present partner, you can have a little bit of say. But if we're exes, like all bets are off. You know, like I had a tweet about my ex's like gender, because my most recent ex is genderqueer and uses they them pronouns. And so like we had a fight where we briefly broke up. I wrote a fucking great joke, tweeted it. They texted me with like, take that fucking down. And because I was like, I think we're gonna get back together, I took it down. And then for the entirety of that relationship, I was like, for the rest of that relationship, I didn't tweet it out. But like when we're done, it's like, no, that's out there because that's a great fucking joke. That's like,
Was it about their sexuality?
Well, it's not about the sexuality, but rather the gender.
Or their gender?
Well, the joke is just that my ex broke up with me, but my ex is genderqueer, which I argue makes the whole thing way worse. Because in order to respect their preferred pronouns, it sounds like I got rejected by a gang of people.
Okay, well, the thing about that joke is it's not personal. Like, it could be about anybody.
It could be about any genderqueer ex of mine, I guess.
Like, you could be like, you don't even have to reference your ex. You could just be like, it's hard to date a genderqueer person, whatever.
But it's a weird thing to manage, and I gotta imagine even now, even though your show, like, y'all talk about your own stuff, but it's usually pretty guest centric.
Well, we do episodes that are just the two of us. And
you do now?
Yeah. We've always kind of like thrown those in there.
I'm not all the time subscribed.
It's totally fine. It's fine. But there's times where not only we'll talk about our significant others, but we'll tell stories about our friends' lives, and we've gone back and edited things out that, like, you know, in the moment you feel like you're just having like a fun conversation with your friend, and then you think about it and you're like, I don't know if I have the right to tell that story or in that way.
Do you like follow up and you'll say, hey, look, we talked about this thing, you know, we've already beeped the name, but like we were wondering if it's cool to talk about it, or do you want me to take it out? Like, do you do that sometimes?
I've had some things, but then there are also some things that I'm like, if I told my friend that I said this, they would just not be happy at all. So I know, you know, I like, I'm very close with my buds and a little codependent. So, I would never want to say anything that would hurt their feelings. So I just know to edit it out. Usually I don't even ask.
Well, where you said that I was very responsible for having like the podcast talk with new, you know, significant others, you are way more responsible in the, you know, the post part of it. Because for me, I'm like, when it's on mic, it's a good chance it's staying in. If it's good content, it's probably staying in.
I also, but my thing is also sometimes it's like, if it's my story to tell, I don't care. Like, whatever. Like, I'll take, like, because, and unfortunately for Ian, that usually, if it's my story to tell, it involves Ian. And sometimes, you know, he'll get upset, like I said. But if it's a friend's story that I'm telling, I'm like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, because that's like, oh, this happened to my friend.
Exactly.
That's different from, like, and that's why I mean about, like, talking about breakups and feelings and exes and story, because it's like, that's my story too. Like, for someone to say I can't talk about pee,
oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant urine.
Oh, sorry. Well,
your ex P. Yes.
When I was on your show, I think we called her still P. She wasn't named, and then eventually she decided to be named. And then recently, in the blow up that happened, where
back to P,
she was like, "Stop naming me." I was like, I can't. I'm not gonna go. Like, you're named, but if it makes you quote unquote feel better, like, I'll call you P, but I'm not gonna like. But like, to say I can't talk about you means like now I can't talk about 22 mostly fabulous months of my life.
Sure.
That are very significant to me because it's my story too. Like, my side of the story is my story. Now, if I were to talk about something that happened to P unrelated to me from like 5 years ago before I ever knew her, then that would not be cool, because then that's me telling her story. And it's all messy when you're like in the public eye and having to navigate what you can and should or whatever do. Talk about.
Yeah. And you're presenting your perspective, which is almost always going to be different than your ex's.
For sure. Oh, Angela, thank you so much for coming on. where can people find you?
On iTunes, you can look up This Is Why You're Single.
We're not supposed to call it iTunes anymore. We gotta call Apple Podcasts.
Oh,
Apparently.
really?
They get very touchy.
Oh, no one told us.
No one.
The people, because I have a direct line to the podcast guy at Apple.
Tim, what Apple Podcast? Fine, we'll change the website. I got it. Okay.
Oh God! Wait. So where can they find you? Where can they find me, Billy?
We're supposed to call it. I don't really call it that, but you're supposed to call it Apple Podcasts. They're like rebranding it. Like it's not iTunes. It's Apple Music. It's Apple Podcasts. It's Apple whatever.
Okay, Apple Podcasts. This Is Why You're Single. Also, I think we're on Spotify. Whatever.
I think I've seen you on Spotify.
You can go to thisiswhyyou'resingleshow.com for all kinds of stuff. There's pictures. You can see what I look like.
That's a way to phrase it.
Not in a sexy way, just if you're like, I want to put a face to the voice. So yeah, this is why you're singleshow.com for like anything. This Is Why You're Single. And on social media, I'm at Sparadactyl, like my last name and the dinosaur.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again for talking to us. And why don't you go ahead and say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, that was fun. And like such a minimal mention of gangbangs. I'm kind of shocked. Look at that. We had a fairly clean episode. Go us. Yes, again, go listen to This Is Why You're Single. It's a great podcast. I was on it. Friend of the pod, Andrea Allen, was on it. Okay. It's a great show. Check it out wherever you like to get your podcasts. Check out Shock Rubs and Vanessa Cuccia at Shock Rubs, CHAKRUBS. Check out their products. Get yourself some pussy crystals. Oh yeah. As always, you can find me on the socials at the Billy Procida on Twitter and Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram yet, don't know what your problem is. Okay, I got this for you. You asked for it. Please go give a follow. Give them likes. Give me them likes. Speaking of likes, go like the Man Whore Podcast fan page on Facebook. We're doing a bunch of great stuff there. We're populating that page with some cool, interesting content that you're not really going to, hear as much about on the show. One more time, Man Whore Con, baby. Win a free trip to Man Whore Con in New York City this August by submitting a video under 5 minutes in length showing me how you're my biggest fan whore. Email that to manwhorepod@gmail.com no later than June 1st to win a trip. And if you just want to go ahead and buy a weekend pass yourself, you can go get your ticket at manwhorepod.com/tickets. If you want to get a really, really nice, cheap $55 weekend pass, June 5th, my birthday, 2 of those will be available when you use the promo code Billy29 at checkout. Next week, oh my gosh, gonna have on Madison Young. If you don't know who she is, you should, because she is oh so very fantastic. Feminist pornographer, author, performance artist. You're in for a treat. But until next week, stay slutty.